Okay, so former NBA champion with the San Antonio Spurs in 2007, Francisco Elson is the official NBA ambassador for the second annual Ireland Junior NBA Festival of Basketball, which has been taking place today at the National Basketball Arena in Tallaght. The event is the culmination of this year's Junior NBA Basketball Ireland League. Now in its second year, the league features 10 Irish clubs that partnered with local primary schools to create 30 teams, each of which represented an NBA team. And I'm delighted to say now that Francisco Elson himself is on the line. How's it going, Francisco?
I'm doing pretty well, even though it's stormy outside. It's gloomy.
It's always gloomy here. Talk to us about what's been going on, what's been happening in Tallaght today.
In Tallaght, well, there's about 30 teams, about 1,000 kids, man, and they bum rushing me. But I like it. The kids are funny, the kids are fun, and basketball, it looks like they're playing Gaelic sports, but I call it basketball. But they're having fun, and that's the most important thing. So I'm glad to be here. I'm glad Ireland is having me. So I'm enjoying myself watching these young kids and playing basketball.
Yeah, you've mentioned there you were born in the Netherlands yourself. How different does the setup here resemble a setup to what you grew up in? Because like we look at the top level of professional basketball in the United States now, there are so many different people from so many different backgrounds all around the world that there is no one correct way outside of the United States to actually have a basketball setup, it seems.
No. Basically, so the basketball has changed. The dynamics has changed so much that anybody that has a passion for sports or particularly basketball can participate. And the way it's now been set up is back in the days, everybody wanted to fly like Michael Jordan or like whoever, like LeBron James, for instance, or Kobe Bryant. But now you have a guy that's playing and shooting from half court like a James Harden or Steph Curry, that people can emulate that game to. So the dynamics of the game has changed, and that's why you see like small countries like the Netherlands, like Ireland, organizing these type of events to where sports becomes more easy to approach, especially basketball. So everybody that is participating or wants to be a basketball player or has passion for sports is interested.
That's an interesting point that you touch on, the style of basketball and how we're seeing so many different thoughts on what is the correct way to actually achieve great things at the highest level. And you're making the point there that basically that is allowing other people to get involved, that is opening doors for more people around the world because different cultures are now being accepted a bit more in the NBA.
I mean, obviously, sports brings people together. That's what they've been saying. And this is a fun way to bring in different cultures, different ethnicities, different styles, different people bonding together and enjoying themselves and making new friends, basically. So that's why I said I'm here to just motivate and help people understand the game of sports, and not only this game of sports, but also the game of basketball. It doesn't mean that because you're a basketball player, it doesn't mean that you can live above somebody else. No, it's just participating and enjoying life. And sports, in my eyes, is life. Because I grew up around sports, and as I'm looking at these young kids participating in basketball, you see fun. You don't see any stress. You see kids running up and down the court, and that's what's so much fun about being an NBA ambassador, is showing these kids that anything or anybody can be a pro athlete. And anybody that comes to your country is a nice guy or a good person, just bringing joy. So
for sure, it's an important message to get across. Francisco, I wanted to chat to you about that San Antonio Spurs team that you played on that won the NBA championship back in 2007, because I think it ties in nicely to what you spoke about there, all the different cultures from around the world being accepted under one sport. But it seemed that there was a lot of different cultures from around the world being brought into one team in that case. Like, I mean, you've obviously got yourself from the Netherlands, you got Ginobili from Argentina, you had obviously France represented and Tony Parker on the team as well. And it was an outstanding team, obviously, with a brilliant, open-minded coach in Gregg Popovich. Did it feel like that at the time, that you had a bit of something from all around the world in your side?
Basically, it was strange for me because when you say, "Oh, I'm going to the United States and I'm playing I'm playing in the NBA," you never think of a team being that diverse. You know, you had Tim Duncan from the Virgin Islands. You had Beno Udrich from Slovenia. So the whole team was set up to be. Popovich likes players that can think basketball, that can think further than basketball, that can think of one thing, and that's competing. Popovich never says we're a team and we're building a winning team. No, he always says we're building a competing team. Players that want to compete, players that don't have egos, players that are more into team and want to compete every day, night in, night out. So for me to be on a team like that established me as an open-minded type of player. Popovich always mentioned that being on a team that has a type of bondage creates family. And when you have a group that tight, anything can happen in sports. And we proved that in 2007, being that diverse. You know, actually, you'll probably say, like, wow, that's a very European team. How come this European team is beating so many NBA teams with a lot of Americans? It's because Popovich has a great system in place that people could not crack the code to. And we compete. You know, Popovich always used to say, like, don't celebrate on the court, celebrate off the court. You don't want to give the other team, fuel to come back the next game or whenever they meet again to trying to beat you up, you know. So you see a lot of players, Spurs players, show less emotion on the court, but a lot of emotion off the court. I like the team. Popovich is with a background, you know, Popovich, a European background name. So he loves that. He's given everybody a chance from different countries to play in the NBA. For instance, he has a coaching staff that has a female on the bench. How many NBA teams do that? So he's breaking barriers there, saying that everybody's equal. He's breaking barriers, saying that I can become a world champion with a team that consists of mainly European players or foreign players. That's interesting. So a lot of respect, a lot of hats off to Gregg Popovich.
For sure. It's very interesting that he makes that point that you don't celebrate in front of your opponents, you don't give them that fuel. And you say it's not cracking the Gregg Popovich code. What else is part of that code? What else was the secret to his success, but also his longevity? I mean, we don't know when he's going to finish up coaching. We assume it's going to happen in the next couple of years. I'm sure you've been asked this before, though, but what is it? How has he managed to maintain his success for so long?
I think it's management. He has a great coaching staff and he has a great vision. I think a lot of coaches don't have vision. When I first got to the Spurs, he flew me in on a private jet and said, Francisco, I want you on my team. I want you to be the starter. And I got to San Antonio. The next day I wanted to leave because it was so boring. I don't want to be on Spurs. I don't want to be on the Spurs team, but he had a vision, and his vision is that to create a team that can compete in, night out. And they had a set time. For instance, if you're coming in at 9 to work, so 9 o'clock is practice time. So somebody else will come in at 8. He'll shoot on the basket, work out individually. So everybody had set hours, set time limits to work out day in, day out. So that means this player that the Spurs invests because they pay a lot means you're on my team. I'm going to invest time in your skills, so this team will be better. So if you look at a lot of players that the Spurs make better, Kawhi Leonard, Danny Green, the list goes on. Francisco Elson, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, you know, they invest extra time to become a better player. That's what the league is all about. The league is not about coming in and buying all these expensive stuff, materialistic stuff. No, the league is about, or the San Antonio Spurs are about improving player skills and having longevity. Tim Duncan played until he was like, what, 39? That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, Popovich, if you look at Popovich and whenever he plays against different teams, star players walk up to Gregg Popovich and give him a hug or shake his hand. There's no other coach that gets that type of respect because he knows, you just said a key word, managing. It's about managing your team. It's about managing players. So he will pick up tabs. He will pick up your parents from the airport in a limousine. He will give you extra tickets because it's not about, he wants the players to be stress-free, basically. So that's his chemistry. That's the code. So when you're stress-free in your head, then you'll perform better. That's his code. It's not the system. The system is great. Anybody can crack the system. Just put two guys on Tim Duncan. Basically, but for you in order to compete, you need to be stress-free in your head.
Like you mentioned Kawhi there, how big a part did Gregg Popovich have in the end in terms of Kawhi becoming essentially the best player in the NBA in terms of carrying Toronto to that NBA title? Is there a legacy of Popovich's coaching that you saw in Kawhi last season?
I mean, Kawhi came into the NBA, could not shoot. Great defender, could not shoot. So on the Spurs, there's Chip England. He's the shooting coach. He improved Tony Parker's shot. He could not improve Tim Duncan's shot. He didn't have to because Tim Duncan was great inside, unstoppable. So Tony Parker got a better shot. Kawhi Leonard came in. He improved his shot. That's what they do. They will hire or acquire the best coaches that they can find that fits the Spurs philosophy, and then they will work with you. And if you're willing, if you're not willing to work, your time is going to be short with the Spurs. And the Spurs is one of the best organizations to me in the NBA because they've made the playoffs 20 years in a row. That's amazing.
It's insane, yeah.
Postseason, come on, that's insane.
Especially the division they're in, being in the Western Conference and having that level of longevity coming up against some of the best players. Like, I did want to ask you about the current NBA at the moment. Like, I'm sure as somebody who's come from Europe to actually play in the NBA, you must get a little bit of pride from the fact that there's been a couple of European MVPs, obviously with Giannis last year, and a good chance it is going to be Giannis or Luka Doncic this year. One, LeBron James might have something to say about the MVP race before the end of the season, and it's very early days yet, but it could be a second consecutive European MVP. Like, this is really becoming more and more of a global league every single year, and I don't want to use that phrase global league. It's almost as if the global players are starting to dominate proceedings because let's not forget the age profile of Doncic and Giannis as well.
I mean, if you look at it, I mean, the NBA is so widespread. And basically social media has taken over the world. Anybody can post anything about practice on social media. So a lot of these kids that don't see how the Americans, because practice, can learn from anything on YouTube and become better. And if you want to be better, you can find coaches that can help you with that. So hats off to Luka Doncic because he impressed a lot of people. That's a kid with passion, and obviously, in his country, basketball is a big sport, same as in Greece. They're very passionate about sports. So it's nice to see that these Europeans are making or laying down bricks, building bricks for other European players to come in and say, hey, listen, I can be as dominant as these guys in the NBA because you don't have to be an American to be good in basketball. No, you just gotta work on your craft and get the help that you need to improve on your craft. And Giannis Antetokounmpo showed that. But the thing is that you can't get is mentality of yourself because the NBA is a whole different breed. There's a lot of European basketball players that played in Europe or in the NBA that didn't make it become a star because the NBA is tough. Believe me, it's hard. And Giannis now is a different Giannis from when he was playing in Europe.
Sure. Right?
If you can look at it, he's flexing, he's smiling, he's behaving more like an American. He's dancing off the court. That's American style. He has that mentality too. You know, he'll dunk on you and mean mug you, look at you mean. You know, that's the mentality that they get. You know, they copy. Luka Doncic is the same way. He's waving to the stands. He has that European identity, but he's taken over a lot of habits from Americans. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, as you grow older and you become more involved into the game, your mentality is going to change because it's the NBA. It's going to change. You got to be tough. You got to be hard. And tough doesn't mean mean mugging. No, not at all. It means the American way and the way they play the game. So if you look at European style of basketball, and you just said it's becoming more global, the NBA, it is because a lot of European basketball players are participating in good colleges in Spain, in Greece, in Turkey, in Belgium, wherever the competition is becoming good, and people are acknowledging more now the European talent. So it's starting with Dirk Nowitzki and all those other European players. So
yeah, it's trending well. Like last question, Francisco. We've obviously had previously, about I guess 15 years ago at this point, we had Irishman Pat Burke in the NBA. We've got a guy from Dublin, Aidan Igion Harris with Louisville, I think, at the moment, who are doing pretty well in college basketball. We've sent exports out before, but obviously there's always a dream that perhaps one Irish guy might make it in the NBA yet again. What's your view on that? I know you've only been in the country a couple of days and perhaps you don't know too much about the structures inside Irish basketball, but it's not the most ridiculous notion in the world.
The Netherlands is not a big sport basketball country neither. So if these guys are doing good in Louisville, then why not?
Yeah.
Then there is hope. And obviously that's why we're here. And Basketball Ireland is organizing these junior NBA camps to see if people want to pick up the sport. And hopefully, you know, if Ireland continues with these events, maybe somebody will rise up and dominate, and you will have your first NBA player.
Who knows? Just a reminder that Francisco is the official NBA ambassador for the second annual Irish Junior NBA Festival of Basketball, which has been taking place today at the National Basketball Arena in Tallaght. The event is the culmination of this year's Junior NBA Basketball Ireland League. Now in its second year, the league features 10 Irish clubs that partnered with local primary schools to create 30 teams, each of which represented an NBA team. Francisco Elson, thanks a million for your time today.
No, thank you for having me. And Ireland, what's up?